control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you for being here with me. We're underway. God bless it. We're underway. Sorry. I'm just a little excited because, I've just been waiting all day for this. So it's finally happened. I'm finally here with you, and I'm thrilled that you're here with me. So I got that going for me, and you got that going for you. And together, we're just going. During the duration of the show, the portal telephone lines will be wide open, and you can call in and share something paranormal of your very own if you'd like to. I'd love to hear from you. So the number, of course, is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So that's the number for fun right here on the Paranormal Portal. And I don't know anything else. Can't think of anything else right off the top of my head other than this Friday. Wait. Let me try it. Hold on. This Friday, coming up on the Paranormal Portal, 2-hour special Friday show. We're welcoming Mr. Dean Harrison, premier Yowie researcher from the great continent and country of Australia. Don't miss it. There you go. That should help it stick. Little sound effects to help it drive it in there. I don't know if that'll work. Let me know if that helps you to remember, because trying to make it memorable, ladies and gentlemen. This Friday, Mr. Dean Harrison will be joining us. And it'll be a great time, great opportunity to talk with him. He really is, like, he's been at this 25 years. He's been researching this stuff. He's got just some incredible experiences and amazing insight into this phenomena and these elusive beings. And I've just been talking with him through Messenger and stuff and checking out his work, and my God, this guy is just incredible. So I know, and you know, that this is going to be a great show. So I hope you'll join me on Friday right here on the Paranormal Portal, right at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Mr. Dean Harrison joining us here. And it'll be incredible. I'm truly, truly excited for this show. So check it out for sure. Australia is a condiment. A condiment? I don't know what that even means. I think you mean a continent, don't you? All right. So anyway, let's get it rolling. I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. All right, so welcome again. So I guess I'll just start with all the cool stuff, because I got a bunch of stories pulled up for you guys. Hopefully, they are wildly entertaining. I hope so, anyway. And if not, well, just remember, as I always say, you get what you paid for. Hope you guys are keeping your sanity out there. I think good things are going to start happening now, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. So hold on and just, believe and be positive, and before we know it, life will return to normal. Unless normal sucked for you, and this is an improvement, then I guess I'm sorry for you. But for the rest of us, normal would be kind of nice. This actually isn't really abnormal for me, since this is where I am primarily throughout the course of my life anyway. But it's nice to be able to leave without worrying about wrapping my face or something like that. So anyway, just hope you guys are all holding it together, and I really hope that the portal can help a little bit with that. I'm not vain enough to think that this is this is an entertainment solution, but I hope it at least lightens the blow a little bit, and that you find for an hour or 2 hours a night you're being entertained. And if you're sitting around and the portal isn't live, just remember there's over 650 shows here in the YouTube archives of the Paranormal Portal that you can watch. If you need a fix, then definitely check them out, as well as our archives that are on our podcast. And you can check out our podcast archives by just subscribing to us. We've got over 150 podcast episodes in the books already, and let's see, what's today? So in a couple days, no, wait, today's Monday, huh? Yeah, it's Monday. So on Wednesday, we'll have a brand new one. The one released today was really cool. I recorded an episode with a lady by the name of Diana from Oregon, and we did 2 episodes. It was really cool. She's got just so many experiences, and believe me, we tried, and in those 2 episodes, we still couldn't get all of her experiences in. She will probably be back for a 3rd episode at some point, but what an incredible discussion it was with her, and a lot of fun and really unique things she's been through and experienced. She's a magical practitioner, like, truly magical, not illusionist, like, where's the bunny? And it's just really neat. And she's got some good insights. She's got some really good insights of things that she picked up along the way. So I hope you'll listen to that. Check it out, because it was a lot of fun to record, and I really enjoyed myself, and as well as really enjoyed our conversation. So check it out, and that is everywhere podcasts are. You'll find that. So sorry, I'm just really kind of feel like I got a coating of paste in my mouth. It's kind of like cottonmouth without the weed. There, that's better. All right. Let's get her done. All right, folks, let's get her done. So our first story tonight, this one's kind of quick, and it's from Arizona. That's funny. I just talked to a friend today from Arizona, so that's kind of cool. But this one has to do with haunted places. Sounds like it's kind of humorous, because the first line of the story is very funny, I say. I was reading stories like I always do when I'm on my computer, or when my computer just shut off. I was like, what happened? I went to check the breaker, and it was off. The breaker does not shut off by itself, and it's hard to turn on and off. So I turned it on and went back to the computer, put the computer back on, and again, poof, it turned off. Freaked out again, I went to check the breaker, and again, it was off. Mad, I turned it back on. This isn't the only experience I've had. Sometimes I'll be sitting down relaxing when I feel this hand on the right side of my back. I've taken pictures, but nothing has come up. It feels cold. I've even told my mom to hurry up and come feel. It's freezing in that very spot. My daughter and niece sleep with me. One night, me, my daughter, and niece had gone to bed, and I also had my 2 dogs in the room with us. And this particular night, I was finding it difficult to fall asleep, when out of nowhere, I heard, "Dada, Dada." None of the toys my daughters or nieces says Dada, and they only say Mama. At the exact time I heard this, both my dogs jumped up and started looking around. I was so scared. I got up and switched the lights on and started looking for the doll, but none in my room. My daughter and niece were both asleep, and not one of them stirred. My niece at the time couldn't talk. My daughter was talking, but she did not say Dada, for her dad isn't in her life. When I first moved into this apartment, my mom and I were watching television The couch is facing the TV, and you can see the balcony. We were watching a scary movie when all of a sudden we saw this male figure walk out of my mom's hallway into my hallway, and not knowing which one of the two rooms it went into, I freaked out and was like, "Who was that?" My mom said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, that night I slept in the living room that night. It says that night I slept in the living room that night. It is my first time writing a story, and I wanted to share my experiences and what I felt with others. Thanks for reading it. Wow. That's crazy. Hold on a sec. The thing that's pretty bizarre, and by breaker, ladies and gentlemen, I think what she's talking about is that there's a breaker box, fuse box in everybody's house where the main electricity comes in, and then you've got these zones, these little breaker zones. And I don't know. I don't know how it could be hard to turn on or off. I know that some of them have the literally the I don't know, it looks like a lever with two branches, and you kind of shift it up, and then things go on or off or whatever. But I don't know if that would be like the main end of the house. So the way she was explaining it was only in her room or her computer. So if that's the case, breakers trip all the time. But I don't know, maybe we're not understanding the significance of what she's saying based upon her description. But I don't know how that could be hard. If it's an old box, it could use those old fuses, but generally they just burn out and you got to replace them. So I don't know what this person is describing for sure, but it's pretty trippy that it kept turning off at the box, not just the computer, like at the main junction box it turned off. That's pretty crazy. All right, let's go to the next one. And this one's coming out of New York, and it has to do with a lot of different phenomena, apparently. So the story I'm writing about happened in November, and I cannot remember the exact date, but it was very unusual. My mom and I were lying on the couch watching television when the lamp right beside me on the stand flickered. And now that's not what the really freaky part was. The lamp is one of those where you have to pull on the metal chain to switch it on and off. So I just ignored it just because it wasn't new to me, for it always flickered. But just then the metal chain started going wild, and it kept swinging back and forth and, well, kept going. I didn't know why it was going swinging back and forth. My mom, who was sitting right beside me, couldn't even hear it. I asked her if she could see the chain fly back and forth, and she had wondered why I asked her that because she said the chain was perfectly still. But that's impossible, I said, and there it was, swinging back and forth. That's strange. Why is this happening? I said to myself, and I then stood up to go to my room, but as I stood up, the chain stopped swinging and hung perfectly still. This was very unusual to me, and I'd never experienced something this terrifying as this before, and this was the first time something like this had ever happened. I'm not sure if any of you other people out there have had something similar happen to you, but if this has happened to you, you would probably know how terrifying it is to see something like this when no one else can. Well, that was my unusual and terrifying experience. I don't know. This is kind of an odd story because what the person's describing is the pull chain on like a lamp. And so to this person, it's swinging. But to the mother sitting apparently in the same area, looking at it, it's hanging absolutely still. So how is one person perceiving something so very different from the other person? And so you have to wonder, is it an induced hallucination somehow? I don't know. That's pretty crazy. Now, we do often hear about auditory hallucinations where people hear the crashing dishes in their kitchen or something, or things flying off a shelf. They hear like a bookcase crashing or something, and they go and investigate, and everything is perfectly fine. So I'm familiar with the idea of audio hallucinations, but generally everyone present hears them. But in this case, the only one person experienced this visual hallucination. So I find that very unique. I don't know. Very crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, ladies and gentlemen, but that's a new one to me. But there it is. There's one of the breadcrumb things that I always talk about. One of those weird, odd little things that I've never heard before. And it makes you wonder, maybe it's, if indeed the story's true, and I can only tell you that these stories are represented as true. I don't ever put fabricated or made up or fictionalized stories on this show knowingly. Now, I can't vouch for the authenticity of everything I'm reading you, but I can just tell you that it's all represented as factual stories. I would never bring in, fabricated or BS stories to you guys, because this is my passion. This is my my pursuit in life, and I don't want to cheapen it just for numbers or thrills or to try to dramatize anything. These stories that I'm bringing to you are as I found them or they were sent to me. So any number of those combination, but everywhere that I get them, they are represented as real, not as fiction. So just want to clear that up right away. Whatever you hear on this show is at least represented as fact. I can't be sure that it all is, but I can tell you that I will never bring you something that is obviously not real. There's times I even stop stories as I'm reading them because they're so far-fetched and out there that and maybe it's wrong of me to judge, but I just can't bring myself to read them if they just sound too hokey. It's because I don't want the integrity of the show ever to suffer because of, some fantastic tale somebody decided to try to impress upon people. So, there you have it. But the next one is coming from New York again, and this one has to do with haunted places. I hope this isn't the same one. Nope, this is a different one. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't just reread the same one I just read, because the last one was New York, I thought. So this one says, when I was 4, we moved from an apartment in New York City to a house upstate. When we first moved in, it was kind of funny. One night, my sisters and I were all sleeping together, and we heard someone walking up the stairs. So my big sister says to my little one, "Why is Alex coming up the stairs this late?" I was sitting in the same room as my sisters, and I said, I'm right here. So my sister says, "Who is that then?" Well, we knew it wasn't my parents. They were working. And we just ignored the sound that night, and we kind of figured it was an energy at the time. And seeing it as it wasn't being malicious, we decided to let it stay and not investigate any further. Another night, both my parents and I and my sisters were all upstairs sleeping when we heard what sounded like a 100-pound television that was dropped to the floor. Then the sounds of children running around laughing, and when we all got up in the morning, we didn't speak of it until it was brought up. I heard a sound last night, so then everyone else admitted to hearing the same crashing and children sounds. We live very close to a graveyard, not close enough to where this would feel like a haunted house, but close. My mom, who used to be a nun, took me to the graveyard with her, and we came across 2 tombstones that were all crooked, and they were of 2 children. Well, my mother straightened them, and then she brought some flowers to place on the graves. The ghosts were in no way malicious or threatening to us, but the interesting thing is, recently I found out a little bit about my house. Basically, we built the second floor to our house, and previously we bought the house with only 1 floor. I also found out that the house was owned by a woman and 2 children, and I haven't found out much else, but it leads me to wonder how those children died and what happened to the woman. 2 years ago, whilst I was in the kitchen, my mom cooking at night some baked goodies, and I heard the faintest and most beautiful voice I've ever heard. It was so soft, and honestly, I'm not religious, but I felt that if I would have heard the Virgin Mary, that would have been her voice. It sounded like it came from the dining room next to the kitchen, and all it says was, "Marina." Nothing else. Marina being my mom's name. I looked at my mom and said, "Did you hear that?" and she heard the same thing. It makes me wonder what's up with our house. I never did feel afraid upstairs in our house. My only explanation to that is that it's the part we built and no one has perished there, except my dog who died outside, and I hear him walking around sometimes, but he's a kind spirit. I know that. However, when I come downstairs, I feel kind of watched. Not afraid, but watched. This feeling of being watched gets really bad when I go into the basement. It feels like very bad things have happened down there, and I really should stay out. One time, my sister and I were alone in the house upstairs, and I heard someone playing with the door in the kitchen that actually went down into the basement. At first, I thought it was a burglar, but oddly enough, my dogs weren't barking. They were instead standing at the door whining, and it was as if there was someone there they wanted to come in. I called the cops, and my sister went downstairs and talked at the door as if to scare off whatever it was there, but nothing. It was still shaking when she was talking at it. When the cops came, the sound just stopped. They looked outside, no footprints, nothing. The door wasn't tampered with. It was just a freak experience, but it never happened again. My mom had this house blessed by a local priest a while back, about 8 years ago, and the house felt safer then. Could it be that the blessing is wearing off? I'm not sure what to do, but also, as a side note, when I feel afraid or like I'm being watched, I'm able to conjure this extremely cold feeling that feels like I'm wrapping myself with a wet, cold sheet that has little needles in it. And then I feel like I can conjure whatever it is away, watching me to go away. Not sure if I could get some feedback on what's going on or if I should seek help about my tingling feeling, but some suggestions would be great. I'll be checking back. Many thanks. Oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know. Just run-of-the-mill kind of haunting, I guess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the next one's coming from Utah. And let's see what's going on there. And this has to do with ghost hunting. Let me make sure here. Okay, so this one's interesting. This one's coming from the year 2009. I was living with some friends on 500 South and 400 West in Salt Lake City during the summer of 1996 when we heard stories about an odd house on 900 South and about 1100 East. Me, my boyfriend Sean, and our two friends Shane and Tina decided to go check the house out. I knew right away something wasn't right. The yard was way too well taken care of for an abandoned house. The lawn was neatly mowed, and the bushes were trimmed really well, at least out in front. In the backyard, it really looked like a normal overgrown yard. Sean, Blackjack, our 3-month-old black lab, and I walked through the open back door and discovered the second thing wrong with the house. Even though it was filled with garbage from parties there were no bugs or mice. Before I could explore any further, the dog began whimpering and trying to run out the door. I scooped her up and walked further into the house. He fought me until we reached the front bedroom. Then she refused to come out of the room. The setup of the house was a little odd. You walk in the back door into a kitchen with 3 doors leading off of it. Through one door is a long pantry. The second leads to a laundry room, and the third to a dining room. The 3 doors leading off the dining room, 2 bedrooms and the front door. The back bedroom has a bathroom off of it, and the front bedroom has 2 doors, one leading to a small hallway and the front door. As I stood in the door looking at the back bedroom, I got a cold chill and suddenly heard a baby crying. Oh, that's creepy. Wow. The floor was covered with black garbage bags full of stuff, and I thought it might be a baby someone dumped, so I began tearing through the bags. The bags were full of clothes and papers, and I never found a baby even though I could still hear it crying. I know it didn't come from a neighborhood house because on the west side was a house converted into a little pagan shop, and on the east side was a fire station. Behind the house was a parking lot. I walked into the bathroom looking in there for the baby and was stunned at what I found. The toilet was an old-fashioned pull chain type. I had no idea the house had been empty that long, and as I stepped towards the massive claw-footed tub, the crying stopped. I went back out into the bedroom, and as I stepped into the room, I saw a movement out of the corner of my eye in the closet. Walking towards the closet, I got cold and felt an overwhelming feeling of dread. I hurried out of the room to go find my boyfriend, and he was standing in the front room, staring at the front door with a puzzled look, and I asked him what was wrong. Well, he jumped and yelled. When he had calmed down, he said, "I saw a man standing in there, but when I tried to talk to him, he walked out the door without opening it." I decided I wanted to stay the night, and he agreed to stay with me. Shane and Tina decided to stay with us as well. We got sleeping bags, flashlight, food, and as we left, I had to carry Blackjack out, and once we got outside, he was fine. We set up in the front bedroom while the guys set the beds. Tina and I set up tape recorders in the various rooms. I carried a video camera and taped everything we did. As Tina and I were setting up the front room, we heard creaking from the dining room, and we knew it wasn't one of the guys. We could see them in the bedroom still. Walking into the dining room, we saw the chandelier swinging back and forth gently. I stepped closer to see better, but Tina grabbed my arm and dragged me backward, hissing, "Someone's hanging from the light." I couldn't see anything, but she could. Tina dragged me back to the guys and told them what had happened. The guys went to check it out, but found nothing. Shane thought we were jumping at shadows, and Tina stayed with the dog in the bedroom while the rest of us went to the kitchen. As we stood there, the room suddenly got ice cold, and a voice whispered out of the dark, "Leave while you still can." Then the flashlights went out, all three of them, and I felt something cold and slimy brush my neck. The guys ran for the bedroom, but I stayed put. I wasn't afraid. After all, ghosts can't hurt you, right? Wrong. As I stood there, I heard footsteps moving in a circle around me and a voice whispering, "Not afraid? You should be." And laughing. I laughed shakily and replied, "You can't hurt me. You're just a ghost." There was an evil chuckle, and I felt cold, slimy hands grab my shoulders and slam me backwards into a wall. I felt a body press up against me, and the cold, dank breath on my neck. The hands roamed my body, pinching me here and there, and teeth brushed my neck and bit in two places while a voice whispered in my ear, "I can do anything I want to you." Before more could happen, a bright white light blinded me, and the thing screeched and let me go. And when I could see again, my blood brother, Bear Dancer, a Blackfoot shaman, was standing there. He picked me up in his arms and carried me outside to his truck and set me on the tailgate. He chewed me out for going hunting unprepared. I asked him what he was doing there. He was in Texas last I heard. He laughed and said, "I was told to come here tonight because Little Cat was going to get herself in trouble with her curiousness." Sean, Shane, and Tina were already outside with the dog. They had come out the front door when they saw me pinned to the wall in the kitchen. They were going for help. We went home that night, but I wasn't finished. I was mad. I wasn't going to let a mere ghost get the better of me, so I came back the next night, this time prepared for battle. But that's a different experience for another time. Wow. Well, there you have it. That one's creepy. That's such a dangerous assumption. Ghosts can't hurt you. They cannot hurt you. Here's the thing. You can maybe by a matter of course they can't or won't. Probably won't more than can't. But the minute that you challenge that, the minute you challenge a ghost in any way, like, "Why are you scaring little kids? Why don't you go after me? Why are you picking on little children? Why are you picking on a woman? Why whatever." If you challenge it, that's like almost like a spiritual contract. And you can't do that. Because at that point, if there are rules that govern this, The moment that you challenge it, everything's on the table. I mean, you are engaging directly in opposition to something and challenging it. I mean, you're so once that happens, and it can happen more subtly than you think, but what for her to stand there, even though every ounce of her was saying go, just leave, and she didn't, does that constitute a challenge? Maybe it does. Maybe that's how that worked and why she was able to be slammed into the wall. But I don't think you ever can bank on the idea that spirits can't hurt you. I know that a lot of people like to carry that around, but I think that's really incredibly bad advice. I don't think you can count on that because I think there are things that can hurt you, and spirit or otherwise, whatever it is. And we don't know, but to run over this guise that there's some unwritten rule somewhere that spirits can't hurt you, I think is a dangerous assumption. Remember one thing. A spirit has nothing but time. A spiritual being has nothing but time. And if you piss one off, they can spend decades waiting for you to make a mistake, waiting for you to give them an opening. And once they have that opening, then they may oppress, attach to you, give you a demonic oppression or a dark spiritual oppression, or try to, all the way to possession. It's just a poor idea to ever, try to anger the spirits. I'm not saying be afraid of them at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it's wise to be respectful. Always be respectful because we just don't know. And if you're not challenging them, if you're just, curious and searching for answers or whatever, then, go for it. Good for you. But the minute you challenge them, I think that there may be some kind of, I don't want to say a law, but some kind of conduct that has a spiritual contract to it. And once we break it unknowingly, then it's all on the table. So be careful. That's all I'm saying. Just be careful. Don't ever bank on the idea that a spirit can't hurt you because we just don't know. Nobody knows. You can certainly be protected from that kind of thing through different measures or pursuits. But, the idea is why, who goes to the bar looking for a fight? Some people do, but most people don't. Most people just go to the bar to have a good time, to relax with friends and stuff. But it's akin to going into a bar and saying, I'm the toughest dude here or person here. Well, somebody's going to stand up and challenge that. You can guarantee it. Somebody's going to think they're the tougher one, and they're going to take a shot at the title. So, it's kind of the same thing in spiritual terms. You don't run in, puffing your chest out and being all tough because somebody's going to answer that call eventually. So just be careful. The takeaway is be careful. Just my 2 cents, whatever that's worth. I don't know, but I got a pocket full of change. So, all right, this next one is coming from Maryland, and it has to do with orbs, lights, and mists. I think that orbs, lights, and mists are really fascinating. I think that of all the manifestations, I think that's the most curious one, because it's so ambiguous. You just don't know what it is that you're looking at. You don't know what you're dealing with, and it's just something appearing. So I think that they're pretty curious. I've not seen a mist. I've seen orbs with my naked eye, but I think I've seen one behind me in that appearance I did on Daniela Aiolo's show. Her show is what the hell is it? I'm sorry, I'm just drew a mental block. I just had a mental block. Hidden Existence on her show. And there was observed, thanks to Adam from Blue Line Bigfoot, he observed an orb appearing over here and going down and disappearing. And I checked out the footage later, and sure enough, I can't explain it, but it's there. I got to get a video clip of that and try to really make a video of that because I think that's fascinating. Lord knows a lot of weird things have happened here, so in the studio, so that doesn't surprise me at all. But that's the first visual anomaly that I'm aware of that has ever been captured during the show. I think that's pretty powerful, though. All right, so let's see what we got here. This again is Maryland, from Maryland. Me and my friend Ruthie, we're walking home from school one day. She's my next door neighbor, and we live about 3 miles away from the school. We were on the side of the road. It was dark outside, and we were coming back from detention for skipping under the stairs. So we were there walking down the road when we heard a loud roar of an engine nearby. "Come on," Ruthie said. "Get on the other side of the road so they can see us when they come by." I said okay, and we walked over to the other side. Well, a Hummer slowly came by, and the music at high blast, and swerving all over the place. It sped up and then hit a tree and came swerving towards us. We didn't have any time to move. We just stood there with our eyes wide open. The Hummer crashed about 3 feet away from us, and there were about 10 white things everywhere. They were like ghosts. A few were up in the sky and a few were on the ground, and one swept right in front of the Hummer and pushed us out of the way. We went sliding against the pavement and then hit the ground. The Hummer then flipped over and smashed against the fence that was there. The engine was smoking, so I couldn't see what happened next. About 22 seconds later, we saw the guy that was driving the Hummer laying about 50 feet away. This wasn't possible, I thought. From the look of the Hummer, he should have been dead. The windows were smashed in and the doors were mixed into the big hump of metal, and I don't know how he got out. Then all the ghost-like things all gathered up. The man was fine. He got up and just started yelling at his car. We began to walk home, and we had pavement marks all over us. Our whole bodies were red. We looked behind us, and the ghosts were still following us. We were in so much pain, I was convinced I broke my jaw. The ghosts then reappeared in front of us, and then began circling around us, and we spun around and looked at all of them, and they then disappeared. We hadn't realized we had stopped breathing until our faces went red. We took a deep breath and looked at each other, and all the redness from being slid across the pavement was gone. My jaw felt fine. We stood there and just kept staring at each other in amazement. When I got home, I told my mom what happened, and she believed nothing of it. I went to go take a shower, and I got into the shower, and then my face turned blue. Part of my arm was totally different color than the rest of my body, and I remembered that's how the ghost pushed me out of the way. I hurried and got out of the shower. I picked up the phone, and right as I was about to call Ruthie, she called me. I answered and said, "Look at your arm." She then replied, "I was going to tell you to look at yours." Ever since that day, my skin on my arm and Ruthie's has been absolutely bleach white, and the rest of my skin a dark tan. I'll never forget that day that I encountered my guardian angels. That's so powerful. Wow, that's amazing. That's truly an amazing story. I love those stories because I think it gives us hope. It gives you hope that we're not doing this alone. That they are out there, they are watching, they are intervening when they can or wherever they can. And I think that's so incredibly reassuring. So I really love when those stories come up because I think it's a great reminder. Again, we spend a lot of time on the dark and spooky stuff, but these are the feel-good ones, and they, to me, they keep it all in perspective. So very, very cool. All right, this next one's coming from Maryland. And it's about children who see spirits. We've always heard that babies see things different from adults, and the reason I think people believe this is because at an early age, babies don't know how to lie. They always tell the truth. The reason I think babies can see this stuff is because they can't really be expected to tell it to the media. Well, yeah, I mean, there is that, but I don't think being able to report it to the media is a universal opening or closing. My little sister, Amy Isabella, my little sister, Amy Isabella, acts like she sees stuff all the time, and it creeps me out how she knows things. Now, before I begin this story, let me get a few things out of your head. I don't know, maybe she means your head. She doesn't watch any scary shows. She watches Blue's Clues, Dora the Explorer, shows like those mentioned. She's never watched anything that I watch or anyone else. She can't read, so she couldn't have gotten this from a book. Also, we're not like the most families. We don't gather around the campfire and tell scary ghost stories. We hardly ever communicate except when eating at the table, and even then, we just talk about school that day or work, and that's all. Well, now this is how the story begins. I left my bedroom door open as I needed to use the bathroom, and I got out, and my little sister was nowhere to be found, and we looked everywhere. I walked into my room and frantically looked in the toy box, in the shelves, everywhere she could possibly get to. Then I look around after hearing a tapping noise, and I then heard a groan and a whimper. I looked at my closet door and saw my little sister's hand clawing under the crack at the door, trying to get out. I ran over to the door, opened the door, and picked her up. "What happened, little Amsy?" I said. I call her Amsy instead of Amy. "The lady put me here," she said. Looking around, she whispered, "I wasn't supposed to tell." I chuckled and I thought she was kidding. "What lady?" I asked. "The one with the long dress and the long gray hair. She said for me to stay in here and never get help." She was still looking around when she said this, and my eyes widened and my smile faded. No one in this house ever wears dresses or skirts, and no one has gray hair. "Did she hurt you? Did she touch you?" I asked, panicking. "She just saw us jumping on your bed. And she then floated over and picked me up. She didn't even open the closed door, the closet door. She just walked through it and dropped me and went out." Something she said really caught my attention. She said, "floated over." What did that mean? "Amsy, when you said floated, she had no feet. She was a little off the ground," Amsy said. I looked around and saw nothing, but I suddenly felt I was being watched. Amsy dug her head into my shoulder and she said to put me down. Amsy said, crying, "Who did?" I asked, getting scared. "The lady behind you." She twitched in my arms. "She said I'm in trouble, and she says so are you." I turned around and saw nothing, but I did feel a presence. "Don't put me down," she said in a whisper so low I could barely hear it. "I don't want to go back to the closet." I slowly walked out of my room with her close in my arms. We were home alone. "She followed you," Amsy said. I held her tighter. "Hush, little baby, don't say a word," I started singing to her and rocked her back and forth as I was sitting on the couch. "She's sitting beside you," Amsy said in an alert tone of voice. "Mama's going to buy you a mockingbird," I kept singing. "She's smelling you," Amsy said in a voice so low it was creepy. "And if that mockingbird don't sing..." I had my eyes shut and I was as stiff as ever. "Mama's going to buy you a diamond ring." "She's touching you," Amsy said, and I felt my cheek get cold. What the hell's a cheek? I don't know. "She's touching your face." Oh, cheek. Sorry. I felt my cheek get cold. "She's touching my face." For the next few hours, we were home alone, and it was dark outside, and the lights were off. And then they came on, and the door opened and closed. Amsy looked out the window, and all I saw was a car go by. "She left. She got in that car," Amsy said, and then felt everything go back to normal. It got warmer. I didn't feel like I was being watched anymore. "We're safe," we both said. Ever since that day, Amsy has been saying she has seen that woman and the same things happen, then she's gone. I've learned to keep Amsy in my arms at all times and to sing to her, and the spirit goes away faster, but why was she here? I don't know. No one has ever lived in this house but us, and we've never harmed anyone. Why her? I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know that there's always a rhyme or reason. I think that spirits can just be reminded by some people of something from their own lives, maybe. I don't know. I think that, it's possible that a ghost will follow you home if you look like a family member that they knew in life. Like you go to a graveyard, you just walk through just looking at the graves, and you go home and all of a sudden things are going sideways at your house and you don't know why, but maybe something that was in the graveyard was just reminded of some part of their life by you, or, maybe it was just for contact with somebody. I don't know. But it's strange. That kind of stuff is really bizarre, ladies and gentlemen. I don't pretend they have the answers. I do this show, and I can tell you I've been doing it for over 4 years now, and I'm no closer to any answers than I was on day number 1. In fact, I think I know a lot less, because when I started the show, I really thought I had a lot of this stuff kind of figured out. But just once you go down the rabbit hole and you see how far it goes, and you realize how little we know. We really don't know much. And that is pretty crazy. All right, so the next one is coming from Iowa. Hey, it's a sleep paralysis story. I don't know. A lot of these that say they're sleep paralysis stories, I don't think are traditionally sleep paralysis. And this one's pretty quick, so hopefully it won't be too bad. But yeah, I've just kind of worn out of the sleep paralysis stories. And again, let me reiterate, it's not because I don't think it's a profound event. I think it is. But pretty much all of them, when they're about the sleep paralysis, they're all the same. I was in my bed, felt, saw a shadow, couldn't move, was pressed into the bed. I was just terrified, and I felt something crawl on top of me, and I was terrified, couldn't move, and suddenly I could move again, and it was gone. And it's every time. It's the same events over and over. And that's not me belittling it. But I just want to say this because I think this is important, is that for some reason, if it is spiritually induced sleep paralysis, I think that it can be handled spiritually. So if you're suffering from sleep paralysis, and you believe that it's an entity doing it. Now, I do believe there's a medical sleep paralysis. I do believe that some people just are out of sync somehow when they're waking up, and that chemical isn't quite out of their bloodstream that basically paralyzes you so you don't run out the window as you're dreaming of running in a field or something. I think that that's a real thing, but I also believe that some of those are spiritually induced. I think that there are some things that seem to prey on us. So if it's a spiritual presence, you can mitigate that and handle it in a spiritual manner. In the same way you would deal with a haunting. It's just a different kind of haunting. So you could burn sage, you could burn incense, you could use crystals, you could use salt, you could use olive oil on the thresholds. You could draw a circle of anointing oil around your bed. You could put a circle of salt around your bed. You could wear some kind of necklace like a hagstone or whatever. Whatever it takes. There's so many things, but you deal with it in a spiritual way. So dream catchers, if they're really dream catchers, can help a lot because they are made with a spiritual purpose in mind to keep the dark spirits away from causing nightmares. If they're traditional. Now, if they're not, I guess faith is important, because if you buy one from a gas station, say, it can still be effective because if you believe it is. But if you believe it's effective and it's been made with that purpose in mind by someone who knows what the hell they're doing, it's very powerful. And so you can mitigate and handle these things in a spiritual manner. And so you treat it just like any other haunting. It's just a very specific kind of haunting. And I think that most people just think, oh man, this is something different. It's not just a haunting. Well, it is. It's a spiritual attack. It's just a different kind of attack, and it gets you in the worst kind of way because you're paralyzed. You're helpless. There's not much you can do. But there's a lot you can do. Just remember, it's just another spiritual attack. So you handle it the way you handle other spiritual attacks. And you can do it through prayer, through holy water, through, calling on the name of your religious figure, whatever that is for you, a deity, or whatever. So there's always a way to handle it. You don't have to be trapped in sleep paralysis issues as long as it's spiritually induced. So this one's coming out of Iowa, and it says, this happened really recently, and this is just past November of 2008, which is no longer very recently, by the way. I'll start off by saying I'd been restless because of a June 2008 floods. In September, we learned that my mom was losing her job as a result of the floods, which resulted in a stress-induced insomnia stage. I fell into a good sleep in November for the first time in a long time. Without warning, I was choked out of the peaceful sleep and woke up to find myself still paralyzed and struggling for breath. So I sat up and got a glass of water before returning to bed, and at first I thought it was nothing, but just my body reacting to an overload of stress. However, the real terror came when I lay back down to fall back to sleep. I just closed my eyes when I felt an ominous feeling like something else had entered the room in the time span that I had been gone. I tried to ignore it and fall back to sleep, but I felt something tighten around my neck, and I couldn't breathe. I opened my eyes to see a dark humanoid figure above me with an overbearing appearance. I couldn't see any features, just a black solid. I was thrashing about so violently the ruckus had woken up my parents, and they switched the light on, demanding to know why I was being so loud. Almost immediately, the figure disappeared, and the grip around my throat was released. I tried to play it off as a dream, but the next morning I woke up with small bruises around my neck. I've never experienced such a malevolent spirit in my life, and the house I live in now has been the house I've lived since 1995. I don't think anyone or anything has died in the house besides a few household pets. Any theories on what this may be or how it entered my life would be greatly appreciated. So, things like that can come in definitely in times of stress. The person had just stated that their mom had lost the job. Things were going to get hard. Certainly, that could be a beacon for those kind of spirits that prey upon the negative energies. They could be. I think they're always around. I mean, they're just kind of wandering around, like looking for a drive-through, so to speak. And so, if you happen to be putting off a lot of that energy, then you could be acting as a beacon for those things if they're near. And I don't know that they're everywhere. I don't mean to imply that the world is crawling with them and they're, around every corner and under every bed, but they are out there. And it's important to control your energy, what you're putting out there. Because if something needs that, then you're going to become really a virtual buffet. Or a veritable buffet. Just something like that, but got to mind your energy. We think that our energy is encased in our bodies, like this is a wall. Everything we are exists within these walls, but we're not. Everything we are and think and do, all of our passion, love, anger, sadness, whatever, it radiates out. It radiates into the world around us and into the universe. So don't think that, your skin is somehow your boundary, because it's not. You are actually much, much, much bigger than that skin that you're in. We just become attuned to what happens in this little part of us. But we are so much bigger than that. And when you have those moods, when you have those energies, and the same thing for love and laughter and good, I mean, that's radiating out into the world too. So, that's why I think it's important to stay positive, because our energy does influence our world, and not just our own personal world, but everybody's world. There's a reason some people are just infectious to be around. Like, people like to hang around certain people. It's because their energy is radiating off of them, and you feel that warmth and that light, happy feeling, and it makes you resonate to it, and it makes you feel good. Well, that's not stopping at their skin. It's radiating into the world around them. And so we are drawn to those kind of people. Those are the people we like to spend time with. And so, don't think that your skin is your boundary. And if there's something negative out there that likes to eat negative energy, they like to eat fear, they like to eat depression, whatever they feed on, or however they feed on it, they're going to find you. They're going to come find that source. So be mindful of your energy, folks, because it's not just in your skin. It's not just in your head. It radiates into our worlds, and it permeates our worlds. So it's all of a sudden a much brighter light than you thought. I don't know. I think that kind of stuff is important. But, my God, really? it is, alas, time to close the portal. Can you believe it? It just happened so fast. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys like me on the soapbox or not. Mostly I get comments, really positive comments about that, but I don't know. I just like to share ideas and thoughts as I read these stories because I think this stuff it's all important. And there's things to take away from every one of these stories. There's things, little nuggets in every one of these tales that can help us. It's just, you got to find those nuggets and hopefully it helps you. But that's kind of why I like to talk about them. It's just, I think it's very powerful to share those ideas and to, look into those concepts because we're all learning. We're all on this journey. None of us have got this sorted out. In fact, I remember being young and I was like, God, I can't wait till I'm older and I won't have all these questions. I won't have all these silly things running through my head. I'll know more. And I don't think I know a lot more than I did when I was young. I know a lot more about myself. I think that's what age has brought me is a better knowledge of myself. But I think those mysteries in the world are still just as big as they've always been to me. And I don't think there is just an age where this all makes sense. But maybe that's the key. Maybe it is just knowing yourself. Because when you know yourself, you're changing your world and your experience. And by doing that, that's the key. We know ourselves. We fix ourselves. We fix the world around us. Maybe. Just some thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, but that's about all I got for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed this journey through the paranormal portal. Thank you all for being here and being a part of what we're doing. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. And I'll be back tomorrow night. Another version of the Night Terrors right about 23 hours from now. So I hope you'll join me then. And also keep watching because I do open up the chat room about a half hour early, roughly. I will set up the episode and it'll be available. If you guys want to come in and chat, please feel free. Ethan's got the record so far. He's about number one. Every time I turn on the light, boom, he's in there. I think he might be part moth. Like when that light comes on, Ethan shows up. It's like, oh. So I don't know. But anyway, guys, love you bunches. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you tomorrow. So you guys take care. Be good. And have a great day tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody, and sweet dreams.